Podcast for shooters. Thursday, this is the Firearms Breakdown. Playing with this episode of This Week in Guns and Sports.
And this show offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Sean Herron, and it is my pleasure to introduce our panelists tonight. First up, first time on the show, we got the prophet of Philadelphia and the founder of Black Guns Matter, Maj Toure. Welcome to the show.
What's up, yo? How y'all feeling?
Good, man. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Next up, we got owner and chief instructor of Downrange Firearms Training back with us, Matt DeVito. How are you?
I'm good, man. How's it going?
Doing really well. Glad to have you both here, and we are chock full of news tonight. Before we get into it, I just want to mention our sponsors here on this show. You already heard about the Patriot Patch Company, whether it's a Patch of the Month Club or, you know, if you've got a morale patch addiction, this is the place for you. They've got awesome t-shirts, cleaning mats, but it is the Patriot Patch Company, and I promise if you go to patriotpatch.co, you'll enjoy the stuff that they have. You'll probably even order some, and I recommend that you do. Next up, we got Manticore Arms. They make variety of parts for a variety of guns. One of my favorite things that they make is the transformer rail. You can go check that out at manticorearms.com. I'll talk more about them at the end of the show, but you can save 10% by using coupon code TWG10 at manticorearms.com. First story that we've got up tonight comes out of Illinois. School resource officer shoots and captures a 19-year-old gunman. As I read this article, I was kind of I don't know. I was a little overtaken. I was like, this is the story that we should have read out of Florida, but we didn't read it out of Parkland. School resource officers being hailed as a hero after confronting a gunman at an Illinois high school. Basically, the suspect fired several shots near the school's west gym, was then immediately confronted by the officer assigned to the school. Suspect fled the school. Officer pursued him. Gunman then fired several shots toward the officer, who shot back, wounding the suspect. Suspect was arrested, treated for non-life-threatening injuries, and the officer's being hailed as a hero. And in my opinion, this is how these things should have gone down, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Off top, I think first shouts to him. I think his name is Officer Mark Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. First shouts to him for being there, being on point, and being in position. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that obviously Parkland should have went the same way. Clearly they have a different politic in Illinois than they do down at that county down there in Florida. But nonetheless, I think a lot of people, even you know, the young guy, the 19-year-old that was, you know, looking for some attention, he got something that he kind of didn't want. But he wasn't even killed, you know. So with that being the case, like, you know, people got some scrapes, but there was no death, no death toll. And, you know, I think that was like at 8 o'clock in the morning or something like that, like early. You know what I'm saying? But what's funny to me is I'm not seeing a hoopla about, you know, this school resource officer that did some over-the-top job. You know, I'm not seeing a lot of praise for him in the media, but I'm pretty sure on social media, especially after this show, a lot more people are, you know, showing some love for that. So
yeah,
kudos to him.
Agreed. Matt, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, same thing. You know, it's like it's funny. If it had gone the other way, we'd obviously hear about it nonstop. It'd be on every news ticker and everything else. You know, another school shooting, yada yada. But when you have that situation where we have somebody that stops the bad guy, all of a sudden it's not newsworthy. Which unfortunately, with the way the media is in this country, we know that's how it goes. One thing that I love to point out, and that Maj said, you know, is give this guy some recognition. He's out there doing a job that, again, a lot of other people don't want to do. They don't want to man up and put a uniform on. And he's taking the risk every day of potentially not coming home to his family. And I just checked the article. I didn't see his name. Maj said his name. We need to get more into saying people's names like that, people that are actually, you know, quote unquote heroes, as opposed to repeating the names of these mad gunmen that, you know, in memorializing their names. You know, it should be the complete opposite. Like Maj just said, like, give that guy some credit. Seriously.
Yeah, could not agree more. I mean, we got down on the school resource officer in Parkland, Florida. We should be praising this guy at least as much as we got down on the other guy, if not triple.
Right. For sure. Hey, plus I think let me jump in there too.
Yeah.
I think it's time we start treating people like that, like the rock stars that they are. I mean, it take a set I don't know how many of the viewers ever been in a shootout or even want to admit that they have or have not. Yo, to keep your wherewithal in that scenario, going to the range is one thing. You just throw a lead down range. That's cool and all, but that's safe. That's like one of the safest places on earth. For somebody to have to keep his wits about him, to chase after the guy, to shoot him, and to not. And I know some guys that say, nah, if you shoot, to end neutralize the threat. But he was able to not take somebody's life and neutralize the situation. That's top tier rock star shit to me. And I think we just get, see, it's rock star shit. See the music?
Holy crap. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. My computer just started to crash. We're better now. Everything's okay.
If you see that guy in Illinois, give him a drink, get him a round of drinks. If you're a hot young lady, you need to give him lap dances, hugs, kisses, and all of that. That dude's a rock star, straight up.
Yeah, I completely 100% agree. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Next story, FBI says, or FBI acknowledges that armed citizens can save lives. This one comes to us from thedailycaller.com. I read this. I looked at the report. I've actually got it printed out on my desk. And, it's nice. There's a lot of active killer incidents that go on throughout the United States. This one does say that 10 active shooters were confronted by citizens. In 4 incidents, the responding citizens were unarmed. Those heroes include school staff, the shooter's girlfriend, and a man who intentionally struck the shooter with his car. 6 shooters were confronted by armed citizens. 4 shooters were stopped by lawfully armed citizens. 1 citizen was wounded as he confronted the shooter. And I think this is pretty cool, in my opinion. FBI obviously comes out with this report. This basically says what we all parrot all the time, and it's good to see definitive data, even though we all know the truth, but to see a government agency. Thoughts here, guys?
I'm wondering why they did that. That's kind of like outside the norm for that. Or maybe they put it in statistic data that a lot of people, if you're not really super hard, pro 2A or pro gun owner, gun rights, I don't think you'll look there, but maybe they normally do it and we just generally don't be looking. But very rarely do I see them. I mean, even if they publish it, they don't publicize it. So that's the first thing that pops in my head. Like, I wonder why this particular time they don't ever, when they switch to 10 millimeter, they never like to admit that. You get what I'm saying? Like, so that's the first thing that's popping in my mind. Like, what's making them switch up a little bit this time?
Tough to hide the truth when it comes out in a report that is from a government agency that I'm sure tons of people saw. Thoughts on this one, Matt?
It's again, it's the stuff that we already know. The rational thinking folks. We already know this stuff. It's great to see it out there in the public eye, but again, when you have to deal with the people that they're of the mindset of, well, whoever yells loudest wins the argument. It's one of the things I tell people all the time. Like, you can get the facts. You can get all the facts and statistics about the amount of guns in the country, the amount of licensed people in the country, the amount of actual, the actual homicide rate and whatnot, and how many actual mass shootings happen in the country versus how many private citizens stop a rape or an aggravated assault or an armed robbery or a murder in progress. The statistics are out there. It's just that everybody else takes this one little thing, and again, it's obviously a school shooting or something that isn't really a little thing. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, for how many guns are out there, how many people own guns, the numbers are staggering in our favor. And I just tell people all the time, like, you don't need to yell loud in the next person, oh, guns are good, guns are bad. Hit them with stats. The stats are out there and they can't argue that. And again, this is just a feather in our cap as, hey, you know what? If you don't want to believe, what the hell's the World Health Organization, whoever puts out the one every year, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's like, okay, here's the FBI, the guys that have all the crime stats. Right. Yeah. They're putting it out there. So are they lying to everybody about it? Because, especially everybody, the left is all pro-government. So these are your people coming out and saying, hey, the pro 2A guys they're good. We need them.
Yeah. Not only that, so I see a lot of people come through concealed carry classes, and there's a lot of people that in a lot of places that have different requirements for training and stuff like this. And I think generally, I think that there's a lot of people concealed carrying that don't put training as a priority, that don't care, that literally just carry a gun, they never practice with it, they never do anything else. So to see that these 10 situations and that there was no collateral injuries or casualties, and that they were 90% won, except for one guy who exchanged gunfire, got injured, and the shooter left. I mean, that's amazing. That tells me that people are out there, and apparently all these, well, it doesn't matter how much training you have, that people from the other side of the aisle want to parrot. Well, apparently the training that we are getting is enough, because these guys prevailed in a lot of probably really crazy situations. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I distill it to, in my community, I'm not gonna say we just are, but by and large, there's far more guys that have not trained. There's more guns and less training in my community. But recently, over the last few years, and seeing so many more people like taking much more serious. I think initially they get into it because it looks cool or whatever. But then when you start to see, damn, I'm really trash at this. Damn, I really, I'm not as good as I thought. It's not, Call of Duty or whatever. I think those guys start to get focused. And I've been seeing a lot more of that. Even like, if you in spaces where people kind of like, grocery store, you reach, okay, so the person might see your firearm, as opposed to them, let's say 3 years ago, they might be like, or damn, they run and go, tell the manager.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm seeing more people ask that question, and ask the question of not even just, oh my God, you got a gun or you a cop. It becomes, what is that? Is it a subcompact? How do you shoot with it? And these are from people that to me look like they would be real John Q. Public, general public, regular people. So that ties in it. I could, from a practical perspective and seeing how that translates to that data, I could 100% see that just in my demographic alone.
That's awesome. Next story, Oliver North plans to combat civil terrorism as NRA president and increase membership by 1 million. So for people that aren't aware, the board of directors of the National Rifle Association just voted to place Oliver North as the president of the NRA after P. Brownell stepped down as the president. I have spoken in length of what I kind of think of this, but I guess he's saying the right things. And he is saying that they're talking about, he calls gun control activists civil terrorism, or what they're committing, civil terrorism. I think that's good. I think adding 1 million members to the National Rifle Association is a pretty bold goal. And in my thoughts, probably fairly unlikely to do in the next year, which is when he wants to do it. But he is high profile, probably one of the most high profile presidents that the NRA has had in a while. Matt, I'm gonna start with you. What do you think about this?
Honestly, I want nothing to do with the NRA until they get rid of their current board and put Adam Kraut on there.
All right.
Until then, I do not. The NRA does not represent me.
All right. I love it. Mosh?
Shouts to Adam. Adam's a good dude. So I have mixed emotions about this, just because of the fact that I have a very cursory understanding of Oliver North. From my perspective and my demographic, on certain levels, based on what he may have been the fall guy for or may not have been. From my demographic, he was in relation to coke getting put into my neighborhood and crack being turned into crack. When you're in a space where you selling that person, if you find out later on while you're still in that mentality, is the person that allowed the coke along with Ronald Reagan to come in. And that was an economy for my hood, period. End of story. Before they started sending, I got uncles that was doing 10 grand a night. And then, some of those same guys, the people that gave them the coke that helped show them turn it into crack, those guys got indicted and arrested by them same exact people. So it was a clear-cut setup. But during that time, in my hood, you was a dignitary if you sold crack, So my understanding of Oliver North kind of comes from that perspective. I've talked to other people that have told me that, dude was a fall guy, whatever. But the good thing that I am liking about this positioning is it helps my demographic, because it tells people that might have had a checkered past, look, bro, if this dude can be the president of the National Rifle Association, you should be more willing and open, even with your checkered past, to at least take safety classes, training, and get an understanding of firearm safety education. Because I can use him. I can use him as somebody that, he was in trouble, bro. He had a military background. He has a military background. He got into trouble. He got into issues, and he still has a prominent position. So for me, that's kind of like, my position on that. As far as the NRA, Pete Brownell gave us a $5,000 donation today. Pete's no longer the president of the NRA. Pete did that of his own volition, who's going to make him do anything? But Pete decided, to just support the work that we're doing at Black Guns Matter. I'm in a weird space because I have really good relationships with a lot of people over there at the NRA. And especially me being such a small fish in the big pond, I try to maintain the relationships with people and don't attack nobody that don't do nothing wrong to me or mine. You know what I'm saying? I understand the importance of the NRA in this rumble, but I also I would love to see Adam on the board. I helped pass out flyers for him down there in Texas a couple of weeks ago, or whenever that was. Yep. I've always been hella supportive of him social media wise. I think he has great ideas. I think he's professional as hell. And I don't know why he's not on the board of directors. I know why. He didn't win, but I just think that I think there is time for, new blood on the table. I see younger guys that have great ideas. That's fun. Like Chris Barrett, I hung out with him down there too. Like just people that I see that in my initial interaction with him, maybe I'm not in the super duper money and power room yet, but my initial interaction with these people as individuals, I rock with, but if I'm being critical of them, I think they really got to move a lot faster. You got to move faster. These people in the anti-gunners in Florida galvanized teenagers in a very short period of time. 250. They're well funded and they execute very fast. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my critique of them. That's something that we could help them out with if they, get with us and anything like that. But as people that I run into and I have relationships with over at the NRA, I'm obviously in a position to be, independent and say what I feel. But I haven't had, any negative interactions. The booth, and just everything was, has been supportive. But if I'm being critical of them collectively, I would like to see them move a little bit faster and get a lot more younger folks in there, just for the simple fact that it doesn't mean you got to edge the older guys and women out in a negative way. But it's just a different phase. Like, I need their social media to be popping.
Yeah. And I think they hit so hard at a different demographic because the younger demographic historically doesn't get out and vote in elections, and B, the younger demographic isn't sending a ton of money into the National Rifle Association and the ILA and the political action committees, things like that. So they're targeting a different demographic than me. I'm very much a lot with Matt. I'm also a lot with you. On the one hand, I don't want to give up on our biggest lobbying organization. On the other hand, I'm really upset about a lot of things. Marianne Hammer needs to never speak publicly again. I think she's a cancer to the NRA's message these days. I think that Oliver North says it here. They can do all the cyber war against us. They're doing it. They can use our media against us. They are. They've gone after our bank accounts, our finances, our donors, and obviously individual members. It's got to stop. And that's why leadership invited me to become the next president. So I'm sure my grandpa loves this choice because I know that he was a big Oliver North fan back when all that went down when I was a kid. But I hate it, but I would love to be proven wrong. And I hope that Mr. North is the gentleman to do that.
Right. I think this is also, it's like, I have a feeling for Oliver North in this position, the same way I like Sec Death Matters. It's like, there's carnage is about to happen. And if carnage is going to happen, I want that person on the side with me for carnage.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's kind of like along those vibes, so that's my kind of feel about it.
Next story, Illinois governor removes assault weapon language from anti-gun bill. I actually had to read this twice. It comes to us from AmmoLand. There was a big gun control bill sent to the desk of Illinois Governor Ronner, and surprisingly, he issued an amendatory veto yesterday, which basically means that he vetoed it, changed it, and then it sent it back to the General Assembly. With the veto, the governor protects Illinois gun owners from a gun grabbing scheme, which would have made firearm restraining orders easy to obtain, virtually no penalty for false testimony, and taking firearms away from nearly anyone by almost anybody for any reason. With the mandatory veto, it becomes a roadblock with a felony penalty for false testimony, prevents vindictive grudges from being used to take firearms from lawful gun owners, while providing a process to curb mentally ill respondents. So there's some decent stuff there. This bill now goes back to the General Assembly, and they can do one of three things. They can do nothing, and the bill is considered dead. They can override the veto with a 3/5 majority vote, and the bill would then become law in the form it was originally sent to the governor. Or they can agree with the recommendations made by the governor by a simple majority vote in each of the chambers, and then the bill would become law as amended by the governor. Very surprising to see in Illinois. Matt, thoughts on this one?
I mean, it's, I did the same thing. I did double take when I read it. I'm like, oh, they're going to wait, he's not talking about confiscating stuff. He's trying to make it so they can't confiscate stuff. Like we talked about earlier off the air, I'm originally from Mass, in one of the strictest states in the country, and a state that's doing everything to, take away people's Second Amendment rights. So to see something like this from a non, pro 2A state, it gives you a little bit of hope. But then the kind of cynical side of me says, okay, smoke and mirrors, what's he doing on the back end? Because it's one of those things where with all of these bills and amendments and stuff like that, they try to sneak stuff in and sneak wording in, under different bills. Gun control disguised as something else. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things that makes me think, because again, I've been through this. If he's doing this publicly in a place that's pretty vehemently against firearms, what's the end goal here? Because that's not how you get reelected, So there's got to be something else going on. And again, it's the, what you've, I guess, been grown up to, be wary of your government. And when they try to help you out, what's in it for them?
Right. The things that, like what Matt was saying, the things that popped into my head on that when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, the thing that jumped out the biggest to me was the death penalty for the mass murderers. I was like, okay, that's cool. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, damn, so they probably going to try to piggyback in on the mental health thing. I think the languaging there is still a little bit vague. You know what I'm saying? But because we kind of like gave you these other things, you'll go, yeah, I can see a mass killer dying. I'm not mad at that. You know what I'm saying? I think he does in this particular amendment, it goes in a good way because he just I feel like he's trying to position himself, for, upcoming elections in that sense. It's like kind of like I've said this before. I feel like this is what Trump was doing with the initial, bump stock ban thing. Let me look compromising for, midterms. Let me situate myself that way. I'll slide it in on the mental health thing. That mirrors that to me a little bit, because that's the first thing that I thought. I'm like, nah, this sound a little, double take is the perfect statement. I was like, wait, what? Nah, this sounded a little like you giving me too much ground. And right now, we're in Chicago for the next month, doing conflict resolution, de-escalation, basic, first aid, trauma, stuff like that. Saying that to say, and it's the other thing, that's Illinois. Chicago is like, nah, it's weird. They create a whole nother insular thing for like, no, Chicago, super no, maybe here, you know what I'm saying, on the outskirts. But all of that kind of fell in alignment with it. Because the last two things that we were talking about, or one of the two things, two of the three things, was in Illinois. And that's like the concentration of where we at right now. And I'm looking at all of these things, and it's beautiful to see the juxtaposition, how they say it, and even are more compromising, for the outskirts of the state, but how they get, more and more locked down as you get closer and closer to Chicago. But I definitely don't trust it. I think the angle there is the mental health piece. I think that wording going to be kept nice and vague.
Yeah, it could be. They do mention that they set up a framework for limiting people who are a danger to themselves or others from having access to firearms. And the article ends with, it even provides a clear and timely process for restoration of rights when a person is no longer a danger. So they're definitely saying the words that we want to hear, but I'm with you guys. I don't trust it, but you know, I guess time will definitely tell on this one. You guys mentioned Dallas recently, and I think this next story might come into that just a little bit. TSA has a new record: 26 guns found in carry-ons in one day. I opened up this article, I looked at this article, and then I noticed the date. On 5/3/2018, so May 3rd, 2018, 26 firearms were discovered in one day going through TSA, 21 loaded, 15 airports. And I was like, wow, that's kind of weird that there was a record. But guess what 5/3 was? The day before the NRA annual meeting started.
And
The day that everyone starts to fly out to get to Dallas to go to the NRA annual meetings. Maybe causation doesn't equal correlation, but what do you guys think?
I think it's a lot of forgetful individuals.
Right? I know. It's crazy because when I fly, I'm like, I double, triple check every single pocket on every single thing. I'm just like so freaked out about forgetting, you know, a round of ammunition or whatever, a gun. I'd be mortified.
It's, you know, and the thing is too is, you know, one, as gun owners, we should be a hell of a lot more responsible than to put a gun in a piece of carry-on luggage. I mean, you know, pot calling the kettle black myself. I mean, I've almost walked onto a plane with a single round or even just a piece of brass in my bag, you know, because I was out hunting or I was out at the range or, you know, whatever. And you get stuff flies around, goes in your pockets and whatnot. And I mean, I've almost walked through TSA and I was like, oh, damn. Like, let me find a trash barrel and throw this away. You know, it's just one of those things where I think if you travel a lot, you know, you kind of self-check yourself. But the other thing too, and this kind of goes hand in hand with training, is if you guys have flown with firearms, which I assume you have, and you've flown on different airlines, which I assume you have, every different airline has a different standard of what they want you to do.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest questions I hear from people is, oh, I can do that? I can fly with my guns? I can do I just walk in with it? How do I do it? And, you know, maybe if TSA just came out with a standard video,
Ooh.
put it out there, and they're like, hey, this is what you need to do. It would make life a hell of a lot easier. I mean, we all know you're not supposed to take a bomb on a plane. We all know you're not supposed to take lighters and the little things of hand sanitizer and everything else like that, because they've come out formally and said that stuff. So maybe it's time for TSA to step up and do something aside from, you know, grope kids and stuff like that, and put an informational video out there so they don't have to do this stuff.
Yeah. So funny story, United Airlines coming back from Dallas back to Colorado. I was there for a week and I checked a firearm when I left Colorado, as I do every time I travel. And when I was coming back, I was trying to check in online the night before, and it kept just giving me an error. It says you must see gate agent, online check-in unavailable right now. And I was just like, oh, cool, website problem. So I tried it a couple hours later, same message. And the person I was with, you know, her ticket was completely fine. No problem. Checked her in online. I was like, wow, I don't know what the hell's going on, if I've just got the wrong ID or what's going on. So anyway, we get to the airport, we stand in line, everything's fine with her. And then I finally asked the lady, I tried to check in online. Here's my ID and my number. And she's like, oh yeah, you checked a firearm, so you can't do online check-in. And I was like, what? So I can't pick my seats. I can't do anything. She's like, nope, because you checked a firearm on the first leg of this trip, you must check in with a ticket agent on the way back. And the screwed up thing is I wasn't carrying a firearm back with me. Some friends had a car that they were driving back to Colorado, and I just gave them my suitcase and everything. So I didn't even have a checked bag, no gun, no suitcase, nothing. But I still couldn't pick seats, couldn't check in online. It was just complete and utter horse, whatever. I was mad.
That same thing happened to my man Willis. Willis is he's on the board of directors for the NRA. On the way back, he was trying to check in. Mind you, on the way there, they tossed his bag, chopped his lock off, all of that.
Yep.
And he like, damn. So I can't even check in early because y'all they didn't give me the lock. It's a whole mess. But yeah, that Matt, what you just said is like a major key. Like if you there's a reason why your car says park, reverse, neutral, drive. Like every car has, if it's here, it has that routine. You're not going to get in one car and it's like, oh no, neutral is first and then reverse is second. You know what I mean? So I think that that would be an excellent thing to maybe reach out and get behind and tell them, like, look, this could be a standard. I think the reason why they scared of stuff like that is because then when you start creating standards, then everybody has to be held to one. Then it can start to translate. So everywhere would be, you know, that would be even more of an argument. I know some people argue against it, but that would be more of an argument for national carry reciprocity, which has all but disappeared for whatever reason. I'm just a high school dropout. I don't really know why, but that's all but disappeared for the last, nobody's talking about that anymore. And I'm not even a huge, you know, advocate just for national carry reciprocity. I think it's a step in the right direction, but that constitutional carry thing looking a little bit more appealing to me. But point being is, I think sometimes when they scared to create standards, because then you create these paradigms that everybody has to now adhere to. And if you're creating a standard and it's not confusing for firearms owners in travel as far as airplanes go, a lot more things could be a lot more simple for and respectable for firearms owners. That's, I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Yeah. So, you know.
They, yeah, I don't know. I don't see them putting out a video like that. I don't see them mainstreaming firearms, traveling with firearms on airplanes. I think that if they put one out, people would be like, I think the left would have, well, not even the left, anti-gun people would have just conniptions and snowflakes would melt all over the United States.
Well,
Next
I mean,
story. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say they're government employees that actually have to do work. So
we were quoted from the We Like Shooting show this last week on Ballistic Magazine, and apparently one of us had said, "I don't think TSA has tasers. They're just armed with stern looks." Next story: off-duty policewoman shoots armed robber outside Sao Paulo, Brazil school. This one has made its rounds, and it is everywhere. Basically, a group of mothers and children standing outside a school. Gunman comes up, and suddenly, within just a second or two, a female draws a firearm, shoots him in the chest, takes control of the scene, kicks his gun away, turns him over. He later dies. Turns out that this is a military police officer, Katia de Silva Sastre. And I don't know, been a lot of good discussion both ways. You know, anti-gun people say that, well, it doesn't matter. It's not something that promotes concealed carry because this was a military police officer. And we say, well, it was a person with a gun and they were able to stop the situation. What are your thoughts?
I mean, you know, you're talking about Brazil. That's, you know, where it's crime is rampant down there. I mean, it makes, you know, inner cities around here look like child's play.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you've got cops that are afraid to even go. There's certain places they don't even go just because it's so bad. It's like Mexican cartel stuff. So, you know, kudos to this woman for stepping up. And I mean, she protected all those people. Mm-hmm. It's great to see, but it also gives people kind of a false sense of reality because I've seen this advertised two ways. I've seen it advertised as concealed carry mom, which maybe she was. I don't know if she was or not. And I've also seen it as off-duty police officer. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, and again, it's great to empower people. Hey, this concealed carry mom did this. I can do this and protect my kids, which, yes, 1,000%. You could do that. She also got kind of lucky because if you know there's a vehicle involved and fighting around vehicles and there's a whole mess of stuff that goes into that. She did some stuff right. She did some more stuff wrong that could have gotten her and everybody else hurt. Yeah. So, you know, again, not to Monday morning quarterback it. And it's great that it's out there and it's showing that, hey, you know what? You could be completely unprepared for a situation. Like that woman didn't wake up that day and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to protect a bunch of people today. I'm going to shoot a bad guy in the face. Like that just happened. The situation presented itself and she did what she was probably trained to do. You know, so my concern is it may give people kind of a false sense of security. Mm-hmm. And, you know, people kind of get that hero complex just because they carry a gun. Yeah. And, you know, I used to have that mindset. Oh man, I carry a gun. Nothing bad's ever going to happen to me. But the fact of the matter is, and this is something that, you know, a friend of mine, Craig Douglas, you know, moniker Self-Narc goes by, is bad guys have an unequal initiative. They know something's going to happen. They're planning it. We have to react to their action. You know, we don't go out there carrying our gun in our hand, being like, I'm going to stop a bad guy today. We have to counter that. So again, you know, kudos to her, but people also have to realize that, hey, just because you have a CCW permit doesn't mean that you can be that woman.
Right.
You know, and it's, again, it just, the training goes hand in hand. Like, it's great that you got a gun. It's great that you know, are a contributing member to society. And, you know, maybe you took just the, you know, in Massachusetts, for example, it's a 4-hour safety course. You don't have to fire a round and you can get a license to conceal carry gun. A lot of people think that, hey, I've got this license and I'm just going to start carrying a gun now, having never fired one before.
Right.
And, you know, it's kind of scary because had that woman not been trained and had that fight not gone her way, there could have been, you know, because in a gunfight, bullets have the right of way.
Yeah.
And there could have been bullets going both ways, injuring innocent people. So it's great that it's out there. It's great that it's an example of what can happen, you know, what somebody can do with a firearm. But again, there's lessons to be learned there, not just, hey, great for us.
Right.
You know, there's a lot that can be learned from that 30-second, not even clip.
Yeah, completely 100% agree. I'm so happy you went that direction because I was like, yeah, there were excellent things there. There was bad things. My favorite part is when her concealment drives away.
Yeah.
And then almost runs her over. But yeah,
right.
Good stuff, bad stuff. Maj, what do you think?
Yo, that was the first thing I cringed at when I said, like, they got, you could see them being nervous in the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, she's gonna run her over. Right. I think that, yeah, if this is a win on certain levels, and because it's a cautionary tale that we can explain, it could be the double win. You know what I mean? So like you said, you say, if you say one of those things without the other, if you say, look, soccer mom, Brazil, military police, whichever way you say it, whichever way you want to, you know, make her fit that narrative, you have to then say the reason, even with her being military police, she still got some things wrong. And even with that person, we don't know what her qualifications are. With that being the case, you should do these things as well as have proper training. I think you have to say both of those things if you're using this as an example, because I mean, like, even down to the way. So she fired with like 3 people behind the guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, but I get it. You know, heat of the moment. She was just like concerned. And I could see what was running through her mind too. It was, I don't know what's going to happen to the people he's abducting.
Mm-hmm.
That was top tier. I could smell it on her through the computer screen. You know what I mean? Yep. But it was, like I said, it can only be the win for us if we can explain it like Matt that you just did, in a totality, a sum total of that situation. Because if you do one without the other, you're definitely going to leave yourself open, especially if the person you're talking to is a trainer. They're going to chop you all the way up. Yeah.
And I think it's good. Like you guys have both said, take whatever lessons possible away from that situation. And, you know, I mean, I also don't want to Monday morning quarterback this, but I think we have to, because it helps all of us be better with our firearms. It helps us all just in case we run into a situation. So yeah, good stuff, guys. Next story. NRA has concerns that legal drug use could cause gun rights issues. There was an unlikely speaker at the NRA annual meetings, and this article kind of talks about that guy named Jerry Goldstein. And let me go ahead and turn off my ad block so I can actually see the article. But basically, the gist is this: he's not really a gun guy. He's a well-known defense attorney, and he spoke there because it looks like this could be a way to basically strip gun owners of their rights by legalizing marijuana and things like that. Do you guys have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I absolutely do. So last week in Chicago, we did a guns and weed discussion.
Okay.
I put a video up a while ago about the topic, but I definitely see how I mean, we all see it. They tried it in the Virgin Islands. You know what I'm saying? Then they tried it in Hawaii. You know, and Hawaii was the biggest one. But every time it was like they tried the whole, and then, you know, oh, we want you to, since you got the medical marijuana card, and I get it, federally, it's the 4473. I get you. And that's where we run the gambit, you know, of different types of people that have the perspective of, well, it's against federal law still, regardless of state law. Okay, I feel you. However, it's time for that to change. You can't, I mean, if Democrats in Colorado are saying, no, Jeff Sessions, no, thank you, we good. You know, you're not coming in here, because they have such an influx of revenue, over $500 million in revenue from this plant, that they can throw $1.2 million at potholes alone. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I think if they can get the backbone to do it, I think everybody else can. And bigger than that, it's not a question of, because, you know, I run this argument a lot. A lot of my friends, they got guns, they into weed, whether they sold it, whether they smoked it, whether they edibles, it doesn't matter. The reality of the situation is here, and we would rather inform people about being safe with it. It's no different than you would say, okay, don't get super drunk, don't get drunk, don't drink and then carry. Try not to like hang out at bars with your gun. It might be illegal from the gate. Same concept. So, you know, we run into people saying, well, you're saying people are going to get high and then have their gun. Come on, we're not saying remove common sense. Like, that's stupid, you know. But I think that is definitely an avenue to try to lock more people up. I have friends that are doing football numbers for weed, for like not a violent felony, not a robbery, not a rape, not a homicide. Football. I know people that did actual homicides that came home and the weed friends are still in jail. You know what I'm saying? So, nah, it's really I think, you know, it's actually kind of like about time that we stop running away from each other in the cannabis community and the Second Amendment community. One, because we need the numbers, to be perfectly honest. And I'm just kind of like away from the point of not talking about things because they taboo. That's the same issue that we had with firearms and introducing them to, you know, our young people or our children, when there was a time when that wasn't the case. These things were taught in school. You know what I mean? So to me, that's definitely, and I'm cool if he ain't really a gun guy. Give him some time. You know what I'm saying? He'll be in there, you know? So yeah, that's my take on it.
And honestly, I mean, it's already happened in Hawaii, right? The Honolulu Police Department sent out letters to legal users of medicinal marijuana, informing them that they had to forfeit their weapons. Like, it's already happened. This is exactly, you know, it might be just a really clever way to take guns away from people. Matt, thoughts on this?
I'm kind of torn on it. And the reason being is because there needs to be a way to make a distinction, and it's hard. It's not going to be easy because there is and again, I've got friends that they get high just because they like the feeling. They have zero malicious bones in their body, and they just smoke, you know, chills them out, relaxes them after a you know, stressful work week or something like that. Then again, you know, when I was in high school, I, you know, knew kids that weed wasn't enough, and they started lacing weed with opium and, you know, all this other stuff, and they start doing some really dumb stuff. So it's really a double-edged sword for me. And the unfortunate part is, if you say no completely, then you're saying no to the, you know, little old lady that's got arthritis, that smokes weed so that she has no pain in her hands, so she can rack a gun if she needs to. You know, you've got the guy that's got glaucoma, that, you know, weed helps him, you know, have better vision. So if God forbid he need to use his firearm, you know, he could see what the hell he's shooting. So it's tough to distinguish, or, you know, make a distinction between the medicinal,
Looks like Matt cut out for a second.
Matt faded. I see where he's going though. I agree with him there on certain levels. I agree with him on the concept of, you know, distinguishing. Yeah, but who's going to determine that distinguishing? And to me, on a bigger scale, I don't care what you do with your body. It's not my body.
That's exactly how I feel as well.
It's, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, bro, you want to smoke? You got glaucoma, you got cataracts, you got vets with PTSD. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are things that, like, listen, if this is for your body, like, I think sometimes we say you know, we limited government and less government and all of that, but I don't think we really start to recognize how entrenched in our minds they have been. So, for example, I smoke cigars. I'm fully aware that this can give me cancer. We've seen the trajectory. I smoke cigars. I drink a gang of whiskey. I drink a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
And I'm fully aware that this could affect my liver. You made an adult decision to put in your body whatever you want to put in your body. I saw a meme a couple of days ago. It was like a vet, and he's like, he just turned 112 years old.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and they asked him like, yo, what do you attribute it to? He's like, yeah, I smoke and I drink a lot of whiskey. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, he made a decision. He's 112.
Yep.
Yo, so to me, it's just kind of like the I don't want the government telling me what's cool. It's you work for me, I don't work for you. You know, so the distinction thing, but I do get where Matt's coming from in the sense of you know, just when you hit it with the straight hard no, for me, it's kind of like the conflict between state and federal law. At the very absolute minimum, that needs to be scheduled, not next to heroin. I mean,
it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, Schedule 1 narcotic, it is pretty nuts to me. I live in Colorado, man. I literally 10 minutes from where I'm sitting right now, I can buy retail marijuana if I chose to. But since I am in the gun world, and since this is how I put food on the table, like I don't even like driving by those places, honestly, just because it does feel like a trap to me. It may not be a trap today, but it feels like it might be a trap tomorrow.
Right. That's the reason why the work that we doing kind of like around this conversation is because I don't have any like I don't have a sponsor. We don't have a like this. I can just say whatever I feel like, and so I kind of like have to say it and be that the initial lightning rod in that sense. And in the sense of like making sure that there's a concentrated effort to go, yo, weed homies, yo, gun homies, you guys probably have a lot in common, you know, and make that conversation. It feels just like when we started BGM. I was telling people from the hood, like, yo, gun friends, I know you're a felon, I know, but the information is over here. At least come to the class. Hey, smart trainer, instructor guys, come over here. And it feels very, you know, very much the same. It's like the embryonic stages is something that's inevitable. And we need the numbers, man. If you don't smoke, the conversation is about freedom. You might be a smoker that don't shoot. Cool. But you're going to respect my freedom to defend you and your plants.
Yeah. Matt, you cut out there for a minute. I think we knew where you were going with it. You have anything to wrap up before we move on?
I don't know where I got cut off, but yeah, the redneck Wi-Fi here. The hamster fell off the wheel. I mean, I was just saying it's, you know, there's a fine line that you got to draw, and it sucks to have to limit people. I guess to paint everybody with a wide brush, and it's kind of the same with just the 2A community in general. They paint everybody with a wide brush that likes guns as your violent right-wing conservative because you like guns. Just because you smoke weed and it's not for a medicinal thing doesn't mean that you're a non-productive, non-contributing pothead member of society. So I was just trying to say that it's hard to make a distinction of, you know, who you say yes to and who you don't say yes to. There is no easy way about it. So that was it.
I agree, man. All right, let's move into our I'm Offended segment. In New Mexico, I don't know if you guys have seen the video, but a congressional candidate campaigns on an F the NRA platform. He's put out a bunch of commercials and whatnot, basically saying to F the NRA. And, you know, he thinks he's being bold, thinks he's being edgy, I guess is my best guess. But he says, check out my new ad calling out the NRA and their gruesome agenda and chip in to help us keep it on the air. I'm not taking any NRA money. I'm proud to be funded by the Pride Fund and Gun Violence, Gun Sense Candidate, Moms Demand Action, blah, blah, blah. I say virtue signaling, shut up, don't care. Thoughts on this one?
I ain't giving him no light. Same thing.
I'm just like, I don't care about this guy at all. You want to cuss? That's cool. I've cussed like 10,000 times a day. It didn't make me edgy or cool. It just made me American.
Right. I cuss. Yep. Like you got to preface interviews with like, yo, can I cuss on here? Like, 'cause I'm
exactly. I just don't care about this guy at all. Matt, thoughts?
I couldn't care less. Same thing.
Same. The next two stories are a little bit related. Connecticut school calls police after student makes a Lego gun and points it at students. and autistic 12-year-old student arrested for pointing imaginary rifle at school. Both of these pretty ridiculous. The 12-year-old, basically he was talking about BB guns with his friends, did the rifle thing, and it went and like this, pointed in a teacher's direction, just an air rifle, and not intending to point it at the teacher or anything else even remotely associated with that. The teacher felt uncomfortable and basically reported it. The kid, a 12-year-old, arrested by authorities, and the school said, "We don't tolerate that. We take it as a threat." The mother says he didn't threaten anyone. He didn't do anything but just play. Utterly ridiculous, in my opinion. Then in Connecticut, basically made a Lego gun, pointed at friends, no threats, no nothing like that, just kids being kids. Why is this happening? I mean, I know why, but what do you guys think?
Well, you know, the sad part is when you stop kids from being kids, you've got a generation of kids that eat Tide Pods. And, you know, that's the thing is, I mean, it's like, we're probably all pretty close to the same age. I mean, like I grew up playing violent video games, Grand Theft Auto, Halo, SOCOM, US Navy SEALs, Call of Duty, like all that stuff. I turned out to be a pretty decent member of society. Like, so when people say like, oh, this is violent, this is that, is it really? Is it really? Because you're exposing kids to what goes on in life. Like the world is a violent place, no matter how you slice it. The world is not, you know, rainbows and unicorn farts. You know, the world's a scary place. And when you try to shelter kids and don't teach them, you know, right from wrong, and you take a kid like that and you condemn them instead of being like, hey, you know what, little Bobby, like this isn't the time or place for that. You know, this is school. We're here to learn, you know, and you freak out and you feel uncomfortable because a little kid pointed an air gun at you. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I'm like this, the future generations, you know, the generations that are going to be, you know, running this country when, you know, my unborn kids have kids, it's my grandchildren. It's like scary to think about, man, because they're the ones that ultimately are in control of how we end our lives, you know? So,
yeah, so annoying. Maj?
I think it's more like the marshmallowization of America. I mean, like it's two things with it. The teacher had an opportunity there where that could have been a teachable moment. You know what I'm saying? Like even in the space where, you know, for me, like as somebody that's taught students, as soon as you give young people that have never experienced firearms before in their life, as soon as you give them a blue gun, they're gonna point it at each other. It's going to happen. They're gonna play around. It has to be that teachable moment. And I think the teacher kind of dropped the ball there. Like, I think that teacher could, and I don't know the teacher might be super, like, probably if she said she was uncomfortable, but like over an air gun, but I think the teacher could have, you know, leaned it more along the lines of, yo, firearms is serious. It's a tool. It's not a game, you know, but that would tie into that particular teacher not having an anti-agenda. So I get her on that level, but it's supposed to kind of like stop there. When it gets to the point where now like the police are called.
Yeah.
And like, it's like
the 12-year-old
on a 12-year-old, like, is this the picture we trying to paint? Like, now on one level you could say, you know, yeah, man, it's really crazy if you break one of the 4 rules of basic safety. I could spin that way. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. But like now, only thing you did was just kind of like make the kid like softer, or at least not explore that option in his life. He might have been, I don't know, Browning. Like you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
He could have been somebody in that sense. And so now, you know, like Matt said, like we kind of like cutting the youngins off at the ankles before they even really get busy. And that's a little corny to me. That's really corny. It's soft.
Not just that. I mean, you mentioned a teaching moment, and I'm like, yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. However, I don't want to live in a world where my kids couldn't, you know, shoot Nerf guns at each other. I feel like maybe it would be more important to teach them the difference between real firearms and fake firearms. I'm not one of the guys who thinks that, you know, you can't ever even point a finger gun at somebody or a Nerf gun or anything like that. I just think, you know, maybe we spend a little bit more time teaching our kids the difference between reality and fantasy, and less time being that marshmallow generation that you mentioned. All right, guys. Next news segment is the full auto news segment. So Matt and I have picked a story. Maj, if you have the notes up, you want to look through that and see if there's anything you want to talk about while we're talking about ours.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. I'll start off. Concealed carrier gets shot by his dog. This comes to us from thetruthaboutguns.com. Concealed carrier shot by his own dog while horsing around. When he called in, he said, "My dog shot me." Basically carries a Ruger 9mm, has a safety on it. He was laying on the couch, horsing around with his dog. When the dog jumped up on his lap one time, it disabled his safety. And then the next time it jumped up on his lap, it shot him in the leg. And silly. But he says, "I carry a belly band under my bib overalls." And didn't die, didn't do anything like that. I just thought that was kind of crazy. It makes me wonder what kind of holster he was wearing. And I would like to know, just so I don't ever touch that holster ever, forever.
Well, see, I heard a couple things wrong there. I heard manual safety. I heard a Ruger as a carry gun. I heard overalls, and I'm getting this mental image, and it's one of those Darwinism type things, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yes, absolute 1 in a million, complete bad luck. But it tells us the importance of, holsters, that you can't hit the trigger through the holster, I guess.
Right. He just his karma is just I don't. There's the level of things that has to go wrong for that to happen in a very short period of time.
Yeah,
it's like his karma. Like I'm like, I don't even want to sit next to this dude on the plane.
No doubt, man. The dog's name, by the way, guys, was Baloo, and I guess he tried to Baloo his leg off.
Yo, I swear I thought you was gonna say his name was Bullet. If your name was Bullet, it's the end.
Oh, that would have been much more awesome. Matt, what was your story?
So my story is about a Maryland deputy that unfortunately was involved in an officer-involved shooting with a what was it, a groundhog.
Yes.
If you watch the video, it's kind of funny, kind of sad at the same time. Officer is obviously, trying to get this animal out of, the line of traffic and stuff like that, and does his best to try and shoot along, get traffic going. He's got to stop them both sides. Somebody there's recording, and the groundhog decides that no, it's not going to be today. I'm a sovereign citizen. I'm going to do what I want. I think he might have had a shank or something like that, because he went straight after the officer. And, you see the officer he executed a pretty damn good shot. He went down on one knee. He popped him. I think the groundhog may have been on some hallucinogenic drugs, because he kept coming. And
bath salts, I think.
Yeah, bath salts. Yeah, and the officer had to put him down with a second round. And he saved a bunch of citizens from possibly rabies. But yeah, he's catching some heat for it, because people are like, oh, why do you have to shoot him? And like I was saying off the air, I've been a victim of rabid animal attacks before, and they're no joke, So it's good for the officer. He got to go home to his family. But it was kind of a, like I said, little funny, little sad video to watch. Just It's funny that's what makes the news these days.
Right. I got to say, man, that's not an easy shot. It's a small target moving directly towards him. Like, he nailed it. It was the tool or drill, but with something tiny.
Yeah. That thing had an attitude, man. It was coming right for him.
It did. It could have killed everybody. Maybe it was the Thanos of groundhogs. We don't know.
Just like that. My story is shorty that wanted to send dude 65,000 texts.
Oh man.
And said she wanted to bathe in his blood. First of all, it started, I think, in 2017. So she didn't even have I'm gonna work the numbers out. That's gonna happen tonight. She had over a year to send this man 65,000 texts. So a few things popped into my head. One, you got to see her her mugshot.
Yeah, I'm like, you think by just the title that she'd be awful, but I'm like, I'd smash.
Yeah, she's not that bad looking, right? And then as I'm looking at the I'm checking her out, and I'm like, because I know what she did and what she said, the mugshot actually looks more terrifying.
Right.
Only because I know. Because she's like smiling. She got like this hint smile, like, yeah, I did it. And whoever's taking this picture of the mugshot, I'll like chop your face off too. She got this whole like Hannibal Lecter vibe going on to her.
Oh man. So Matt and I were talking before the show. Matt, why don't you tell him about that video we saw?
Of the woman?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's out of control. It's like dude, she's just sitting there all wide-eyed, and she's like, no, I didn't mean any harm. I really loved him. And it's like, you got to sit there and you're like, do you want a down ass chick that loves you that much? Or do is she too crazy? Like, that crazy hot spectrum. Like, do I get do you want a chick that would go and like slit an entire, like, small villages throats for you, like, but you have to watch the video. The video's out of control because she's not a human being. She's an alien. She's got to be. It is. It's not real.
Utterly insane. If you haven't seen that video, Maj, you got to check it out, because we're looking at this mugshot and we're like, oh yeah, this seems kind of weird. But man, she is way high on that crazy side.
Oh, hold on. So it's a video of her.
Yeah. Oh, watch the video, dude.
Oh my God, I gotta see this video.
I want to see your reaction live.
Yeah, in an orange jumpsuit, and oh man, it is utter insanity. Loved it.
See, I need this in my life. So look, I'm on what website is this? Is this the Blue Lives Matter people?
I'm trying to remember where the video is. I don't even know,
because I don't see it in here. Somebody send me that video.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that. Look, when I saw the mugshot, I'm like, okay, she was probably like playing around and she wanted to scare him and he took it too far and that's why she's smiling. But again, in my head, I'm like, yeah, but if you read this the wrong way, you're done. If you know what I mean?
So you just had the same epiphany that we did, because I saw the article and the image first, and then a couple days later, I saw the video of her in an orange jumpsuit, seeming like she really belonged in it.
Right.
And so you just had the same epiphany. And when you see this video, she is crazy and scary.
65,000 texts.
I don't even know.
500 text messages a day.
It's she's
but wait. I gotta call bullshit on him though. How are you allowing 500 texts a day?
In the video, she's like, oh yeah, he knew and he replied to some of them. So I'm with you. I'm like, I think we got crazy. And
but his replies could have been like, stop, please stop, don't text me.
Okay, all right. But Matt, even if so, right? Why not block her?
Yeah, it's true.
But then again, to have
someone that drive cross country,
I don't even know.
I think she did. I think she drove to him.
Maj, Kenny just put the video in, and
okay,
it's right underneath the article.
Okay, I'm gonna check it now.
And I'm gonna leave this live just for a minute so we can see your reaction just a little bit at the beginning, because
where I gotta find it. Where did you send it to?
It's right under in the show notes. It's right under the article, the 65,000 text article. It's a YouTube link.
Okay. Oh my God.
Now, while you find that and watch that, I'm going to remind everyone, please leave us reviews either on iTunes or Facebook. We really appreciate it. It helps people choose this show when they're searching for podcasts to listen to. Don't forget to check out Manicore Arms at manicorearms.com and use coupon code TWG10. Don't forget to check out the Patriot Patch Company at patriotpatch.co to buy all your patches, t-shirts, and other cool stuff. And like I just mentioned, Kenny, this show doesn't happen with him, doesn't happen without him. It is produced by Kenny Ortega, is a production of the Firearms Radio Network. Did you come up with that video yet, Maj?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. She met him through an online dating site.
Yep.
After one date, she said she fell in love. Now, I'm cool. Did they smash that night?
Probably. Oh man! All right, we're gonna wrap this up while Maj watches the crazy video. Now,
her eyes, Jesus Christ!
I know. Remind us where people can find you online and catch up with you.
Oh yeah, if y'all hold on.
Go ahead, Matt.
Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, DRF Training for all my training gun related stuff, and Instagram and Facebook, Matt DeVito Hunts for any of you folks that out there like shooting big game and eating it.
All right. I love it, man. Thank you so much for being here again. Appreciate it. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, bro.
Maj, how about you? Where can people find you online?
If you are anything like this chick, do not find me online. Jesus Christ.
It is scary and terrifying.
No, it is like she said love is an excessive like emotion or something. Dude gonna be a strange smell in somebody's basement.
Yeah, without question.
If y'all want to catch up with me, hit our Facebook up, official Black Guns Matter _ Maj Toure, MAJ, first name, last name TOURE. Our GoFundMe is gofundme.com/Black Guns Matter. Instagram, Maj Toure, all that other good stuff. And thank y'all for having me, man. I'm frightened by homegirl now. Like I paused it on the picture, and I swear to God, she looks like Michael Myers in this picture right here.
I love it. Thank you, Maj, for being here. Good to see you again as well, man.
Thanks. I'll see you all in a bit.
We'll catch up with everyone next week. And again, this show is produced by Kenny Ortega and is a production of the Firearms Radio Network.